Next on London Live News, Olympic rowing champion Mark Hunter is all too familiar with the common view that rowing is only available to public school children. But since retiring from the sport, the gold medal winner is trying to change that myth. The East Ender, done good, is now dedicating his time to making sure rowing is accessible to all. Well, his role working with schools and youth clubs across the capital is giving 11 to 18-year-olds the chance to get involved in a sport they otherwise wouldn't have access to. And I'm delighted to say Mark joins me now. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Good evening. It's good to be here.
You've got, I've got a lot to talk to you about. You've got so many roles, but look, let's start off talking about your life and starting out in the East End and yet having access to rowing, which I can't imagine what it could have been like when you was a child.
No, it's very different to now. The sport's a lot more open to different people in different walks of life. Coming from the East End, I was introduced to it with my dad. Watched the Olympic Games as a 14-year-old, got inspired by it, and then went on to capture that Olympic gold medal that I dreamed of since I was a kid.
Well, how difficult was it for you to pursue that life that will end up to be a career for you?
Yeah, it was. At the start, it seemed kind of, worlds apart from where I was. But then I gradually worked my way through the system. GB Rowing has a great system for juniors, and that's improved over years. There's more funding from UK Sport now, which helps that. It just makes it more attainable for people to give the sport a go and get involved.
And what an amazing sporting career you've had. I mean, winning gold at Olympics in Beijing, winning silver at the London Olympics, gold medals in World Championships, and now you've retired, and now you're just dedicating your time just helping others who might not have that access to get that access.
Yeah, well, when I finished, it was like, what can I do? What can I give back? And coming from the East End, and the world was open to me from the sport. It kind of opened my horizons, what was possible. I've gone back into working for a charity called London Youth Rowing. Just showing that it doesn't matter where you come from, the sport is open to everybody, and just making sure that maybe youngsters that haven't thought about giving the sport a go, they get the opportunity to try it.
And there's so much to being dedicated to sport, and something like rowing, it builds so much character, dedication, commitment, and also it's not going to do harm fighting that obesity crisis we're hearing so much about in young people.
Yeah, and that's a great thing we have. We have different programs with the charity that help kids in different ways at school, and sport gives them that kind of skill and attributes they can take into their lessons, into their exams. That kind of dedication, self-belief, and that kind of motivation to always want to kind of improve and do better. So we're trying to help kids in other aspects, not just in sport, by using the sport to help them in like their kind of daily routines.
Now, you might have been retired from rowing professionally, but you're doing a lot ahead of the Olympics in Rio next year. You've got a new role now.
Yeah, no, that's the great thing about sport. When we retire, things are always open. I'm an ambassador now for SAS, analytical partner of the GB Rowing team and British Rowing, which is, as an athlete, I was always into data, tracking my training, working out, when I would be performing at my best. And that's the kind of partnership that SAS are trying to help the GB Rowing team with now. Yeah,
so what sort of things will you be looking at? I understand it's a lot of analytics. Now, how do you use analytics in sport and in rowing in this instance?
Well, you create a profile, so you kind of look at what's happened in the past, track that data, and then work out the projection over a period of time of how potentially an individual can improve, but also as a crew, what is the ideal combination that may be winning in 2020 or beyond.
All right then, and just really, really quickly, what advice would you give to any young person in London watching right now and thinking, actually, rowing's not for me? What argument would you give them to get into it, and how can they do that?
Find your local rowing club, go down there, get involved, ask questions, get on a rowing machine, get on the water, and it was life-changing.
All right, well, look, Mark, thanks so much for joining us today. Continue your amazing work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.